thinking ahead for a little bit, and I am not getting ahead of myself on this. I do not believe that this is a sure thing that Roe versus Wade is going to get overturned or anything like the media is presenting it. But let's just say it does for a second. Let's just go down that road. It's supposed to come out in like July 2022, a few months before the midterm election.
Yes.
How does something like that affect politics?
Well, first, can we start with what does it mean to overturn Roe versus Wade? Because I think that if this truth gets out, it changes that question.
It's true. I mean, we can overstate the importance of this, frankly, even as conservatives.
Yes.
For example, the Mississippi law limits abortion to 15 weeks, by the way, written by a female nurse. So for all the idea of like, oh, well, these men keep trying to tell me about my body. Yeah, female nurse wrote the bill. Okay, so just zip it. But I'm so sick of this crap. But if you look at the 15-week bill, let's just say that was approved and Mississippi went to a 15-week plan. You can have abortions up till 15 weeks. Mm-hmm. That would still allow about 95% of abortions.
Correct.
Okay.
However, I believe Mississippi is one of those that have already on the books, like Texas does. If Roe versus Wade is ever overturned, so it's automatically a no abortion state.
Let me take this step by step, though. What they're actually talking about is this Mississippi law that limits it to 15 weeks. About 95% of abortions happen before 15 weeks anyway, okay? So, and you have to believe there's about 4% more that happen between 16 and 20 weeks. And my guess is they move those up a few weeks, right? Most of the people that would normally have the abortion between 16 and 20 weeks have it a little earlier, before 15 weeks in this situation. That would bring you to about 99% of abortions. And then you're at a situation where there's still opportunity, if you want to go past that, to go to different states.
Go to California.
So what would this actually do? How many abortions would it actually prevent? Would it turn us into the Handmaid's Tale and have a Gilead government cracking down on us so that women have no choice whatsoever and all these rights are taken away? No. Unfortunately, by the way, it would still result in pretty much everybody that wants to have an abortion having an abortion. If Roe versus Wade were to get overturned completely, however, as you point out, many states, red states, have triggers in their constitution. Blue states have the opposite triggers, which automatically would make abortion illegal in their state. Various ways to do this, but basically, if that ruling comes down in a bunch of states, you just have it be illegal to have an abortion. And in states like California, for example, it would automatically become legal. So right off the bat, you'd have a bunch of different changes in the law, but there would be states where it would be illegal. There's a pro-abortion group that came out with a map that said, here's what's going to happen. And I think this is optimistic from our point of view, said about 26 states would get rid of it. I think that's probably too high, but it's probably at least 20 states that would do it. But I'm taking their map because they're a pro-choice organization, and they see this as a violation of rights. So what is the most arduous thing that could happen to a woman who wanted to have an abortion? What is the worst case scenario? How far would you have to drive to get an abortion in the United States? The absolute farthest distance would be basically from southern Florida to North Carolina, which is about a 12-hour drive. Now, that's not nothing, right? It's probably a lot harder than it is today.
What if you can't drive? You're a woman and you can't drive.
Then you could fly in 2 hours.
What if you don't have any legs to be able to, get to the airport?
Then I guarantee you there will be a pro-choice organization that will transport you across the borders.
What if you have no legs and no hands so you can't answer the phone?
Hopefully you have an Alexa nearby and you can take the phone call that way.
What if you're so poor and you live in a place where the internets are all so slow? See, these are the people you're not thinking of, Stu.
That is definitely not the person I'm thinking of.
Right.
But yes, there would certainly be a way there. But my point, though, is that a 2-hour flight, which, by the way, costs less than the actual abortion, would be an option for you to fly into one of these states. Or you would have to take a You'd have to drive one day, have the operation, maybe stay over in a hotel, and come back after that. It's not nothing, but is it honestly, do we actually claim that this is some massive violation? Even if you believe abortion is a I know, but it's not honest, is what I'm saying.
No, I know that.
If even if you believe abortion is a fundamental human right, which is completely against all history and common sense, but if you do believe that, what you would have to do is invest a day or two in traveling to get one. And I guarantee you, all of these organizations that say it's a human right and want your donations are going to accept donations from rich liberals all around the country to transport these women to these places to do this. Mm-hmm. And they will, just like you realize when you have different tax laws on tobacco, there will be abortion huts popping up right on the border of all of these states to serve all of these people. I think that's a terrible outcome, but we have to recognize that it's real. What else is real is there are organizations that already exist overseas that will mail you abortion pills if you live in an area where they believe abortion is too restrictive. The rules against it are too restrictive. So it is going to be basically impossible to eliminate this horror show by law. The only solution to this long term, and this does not mean that we still go through this court process. We still make it illegal everywhere we can. We do everything we can to save even one life because that's really important. But the only way to make this horror show to go away in a real long term fashion is to win the hearts and minds of people, to realize how terrible this is. If you made slavery legal tomorrow, no one would be getting slaves because everyone recognizes that slavery is terrible. Right? You have to win people over on this. You have to persuade them over a long period of time. I believe, honestly, that will happen. I do believe eventually this country and this world will eventually see this process for what it is. But it's going to take a long time.
All right. So that is why that's why Planned Parenthood is in our schools right now. They're in our schools right now. This is why this is all being jammed down their throats, because they believe you have to win the hearts and minds of kids and the next generation. And they are doing that effectively. Now, your original question to me was, what does this mean politically?
Yeah, how does this affect the 2022 election? Because I will say that I think it could honestly cost Republicans the election.
Fine.
I think that's where I am too.
Yeah,
you want to say if that's the cost of getting rid of Roe versus Wade, then that's the cost of getting rid of Roe versus Wade.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen if it was overturned. And again, we're looking at July. The media is going to hype this as if it's a loss already for the left. They'll be doing that now until the court comes out. They are going to be saying, we're going to be living, the Handmaid's Tale. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, just to juice the left up. That's what's going to happen now. And it already is. If it does turn out that they don't take any half measures, which I don't know, I can't find them in the court case yesterday, at least, they're going to have to decide it either stands, Minnesota, the viability thing is either good, or we're going to stick to Roe versus Wade, one or the other. And it will have abortion huts on all of the borders of states that don't do abortion. It's a horrible outcome. You're going to see the biggest thing is a bigger divide in America. And this is why I said, okay, if it costs 2022, I know this is dangerous to say because we can't afford to lose 2022. But this is a soul thing. If we are on the side of saving children, and we are, these are babies, these are children. This is the second leading cause of death in America, abortion. It's between heart disease and the third is cancer. Abortion is number 2. Think of the souls and the blood that is on all of our hands. So if we lose, fine, so be it. That may be the sacrifice that we give up and say, Lord, can you help protect us again, please? Because we may lose. We really need some divine providence to happen here. And I would rather trust God than the voting machines, quite honestly. And I'd rather position myself on his side and the side of history. You just have to know we are on the right side of history. Science is going to continue to move that line of viability back further and further and further. People are going to see in the end what a monstrosity this really is. I believe truly that in 100 years, we are going to be looked back on as barbarians. They really just killed all their children? It was the second leading cause of death and people didn't even talk about it? We are going to be looked at as barbarians. So what's going to happen? You're going to have a deeper divide, and you're going to see the death cult get stronger. They are, because you know and I know that when it says 15 weeks, if they decide that the Mississippi law stands, that means that you can now have states decide we're not doing abortion or we are. Everyone knows that Mississippi is not going to say 15 weeks. If they're really free, they're going to say no abortion. Texas, no abortion. And there's several states that will say no abortion. They're not going to say in the blue states, oh, abortion as it is. They too have an agenda. They want abortions after birth. So you're going to see states that go further in the other direction. You're going to see evil increase in those states. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. They've already told you that's what they want. Let the baby be born, and then the mother has a time period where she can decide whether she wants to keep it or not. They've already said that in Virginia and in New York. So I personally like to know what I'm dealing with. And I believe that we are not fighting flesh and bone. We're not fighting our neighbors. We're not fighting the Democrats. We're fighting evil. Evil has a chokehold on a lot of people right now. And I'd rather have all of the people who aren't captivated by evil yet, before they get sucked in, because it's awfully seductive and easy, I'd much rather have it exposed. So the good people can remain good people and say, yeah, we're not part of that at all, because look at the death cult this is. They said that they were just standing up. They're not. They're now killing babies after birth. Get out of there. And I think that's a stand I am perfectly comfortable to take.